Hola besties, Javell Ashanti here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have my best reads of 2023. It's officially 2024, which is crazy because 2023 went by so fast and it was a crazy year for me. We're not even going to talk about that. That's neither here nor there. I read so many good books in 2023. I had kind of a hard time picking out my top 10, so I think I have more than 10 here because I'm obsessed with all these books. Most of them are like romance. You guys know I'm a romance girly. It's always gonna be romance books for me. I live in a state of delusion, and so romance really just gets me there. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about these books. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, I'm going to start with one of my favorite books by Kennedy Ryan. This book kind of started my obsession with Kennedy Ryan. She is a Black author, which one of my goals for 2023 was to read more Black authors or just more people of color authors, because I do find myself reading books with like white characters a lot, and I want to see different stories. I want to see stories that, you know, are similar to like my stories or people who look like me, and so I definitely tried harder to read people of color characters, and so I found Kennedy Ryan. She's a phenomenal author. Her books they're everything to me. So before I let go, I believe this was a book about a family. It's a romance novel, and it's about this lady who she's going through a little bit of grief, depression. She's going through a lot, but she's also getting a divorce from her husband, and he's kind of her soulmate. And so even though they're divorced, they keep kind of having like so much chemistry, and so because of grief and them having like this huge loss, it brought a little bit of a wedge between them, and so they're trying to navigate that. But one night a little thing happened, and now they're trying to figure out how do they move forward after this mysterious thing that I can't say because it's a spoiler. I am obsessed with the story. I'm obsessed with Yasmin's character. I'm also obsessed with the husband. It's just such a cute story. They have kids. I just love the entire dynamic. I love that even though we get to see like a Black woman who's going through a hard time and she's grieving, it's not like struggle love, which oftentimes I feel like that's what we get from books with like Black characters, and I kind of love that this is different. Also, the cover is beautiful. This, I believe, was a 5-star read for me. I'm obsessed with Kennedy Ryan. This was one of my favorite books for 2023. Also, while we're on the topic of Kennedy Ryan, I want to talk about 2 other books by Kennedy Ryan. I have The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan, and this one had me obsessed. I went through it so fast. It's about a guy who he comes from like this white family, and his dad does all these things that are like not politically correct. He's also like trying to drill a hole on like native land when he meets this girl. She is a Native American girl, and she does like a lot of protesting, and so she meets Maxim. They get arrested together. It's like a whole crazy ordeal. They have like an insane attraction, except when they meet, she's like underage and he's like entering college, so it's like not gonna work. So fast forward like 5 or 6 years later, they're both abroad and they run into each other, and that kind of kickstarts their entire love story. I'm obsessed with these characters. I love their story. I love the cultural component of this book. I don't really know a lot about like Native culture, like Native American culture, and I feel like this is like so good. It gives us like a little bit of spirituality. It gives us like Native American culture. It gives us minority characters. It gives us interracial love. It kind of gives us forbidden love. I'm obsessed with this book. This was hands down one of my favorite books of 2023. All these books are like my favorite, but like this was so good. There's a part 2, which is The Rebel King by Kennedy Ryan, and this one, they're together in it, but then Lennox gets kidnapped, and this one is just crazy. Lennox gets kidnapped, and now Maxim has to try to save her, and that kind of puts them on the hit list of like this crazy guy out to get them. It's an insane story, but I love the fact that they still ended up together. I loved both of these books. They're both so good. They both captivated me, and so this is why this also made my best on my list of 2023 books. Moving on, another book surprisingly made my list is Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. Now, Tessa Bailey is usually like a hit or miss for me sometimes. Sometimes she just doesn't give. Sometimes her writing is not the best, and I'm not very critical about like authors writing because I'm not an author. Okay, I'm just a consumer, so I usually don't critique authors' writing, but sometimes Tessa Bailey pushes it. This book I'm absolutely obsessed with. In this book, it's about this girl who, in order to get her trust fund, she has to be married. And so she teams up with this guy that she really doesn't even like in order to get him to marry her so she can access her trust fund, and also she'll be like able to help him get his wine business off the ground. It's a great book. It's so spicy, which I love a good spicy romance. It's so spicy, it's so fun, it's funny, the characters are so lovable, and I really liked how, I don't know, the passion in this book felt tangible, and I really enjoyed this book by Tessa Bailey, and so that's why it made my list as well. Alrighty, I'm gonna move away from romance for 1 second, but another book that I absolutely loved is The Lies I Tell by Julie Clark. I've never read anything by Julie Clark before. I haven't read anything by Julie Clark since this book, but I'm willing to try again because this book was so phenomenal. This book has 2 strong female characters, which I love. It's a little bit of like a psychological thriller, I guess, but it tells the story of this girl. She's a con artist, and she goes around and she like changes her name. She becomes whoever you need her to be, and you know what, next thing you know, you're out of your money, you're out of your grandma's, you know, engagement ring. She takes everything, and next thing you know, you never see her again, except she runs into this other girl and she tells her something, and that changes that girl's life forever. What was her name? Kat Roberts. She tells Kat Roberts this thing and it changes her life forever, and now Kat Roberts is out to get the con artist. Am I confusing you? I hope not. The entire book kind of gives us like a back and forth between both point of views, but it also gives us like a lot of backstory on Meg Williams and how she became a scam artist or a con artist and why she does the things that she does. And the entire book, you have like an internal battle because you don't know who to root for, whether you're rooting for Meg Williams, who's the con artist, or Kat Roberts to get Meg Williams arrested. But the ending was very satisfying. I'm obsessed with this book. It's so good. I believe this was a 5-star read for me as well. It was just a great book. I enjoyed it so much. My next book comes from one of my summer reads, Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I love this woman. I don't even know what to say. She's amazing. I love her writing style. This book, and I believe she's the author of, oh, what's the other book? Hold on, I gotta look it up. Every Summer After. Carly Fortune is the author of Every Summer After, and so this was like her book that came out the summer after that, I believe. Anyway, this book came out this summer. I read it. I'm obsessed with it. So this book tells the story of Fern Brookbanks, and her mom recently died, and so now she is taking over her mom's like lakeside resort, and she is having a lot of trouble dealing with this because 1, she's grieving, and 2, this is not her dream to run this resort. When this guy she met like 10 years prior or 15 years prior shows up, and he's showing up to help her with this resort, but she has a lot of reservations about him because he broke her heart like 20 years ago, and she's just not okay with this. And this book is just so good. We get to see like their romance and how that develops over time, but also like we get a lot of insights on like her reading her mom's journal and how her grieving process is. And this was such a good read for me, especially because I lost one of my parents in 2023, and I don't know, like I could relate a lot to Fern in this book and a lot of her own thoughts that she was having about like her own mortality and her mom's mortality and what grieving looks like for her. I could relate a lot to her on that, and also it just was like a very like easily consumable read. Like sometimes when I read about grieving, it's hard to like consume and I get overwhelmed and I can no longer read that book, but this one, it wasn't too much for me, I feel like. So I really liked it, and this was definitely a 5-star read for me. If you guys haven't read this is definitely like a good read, especially during the summer. You get like such like lake vibes, you get cabin vibes, you get like a little bit of spice, you get like such like butterflies, little slow burn vibes. It's a great book. Alright, continuing on the path of talking about my summer reads, this is another read from the summer that I was obsessed with. It is Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monaghan. This book was so like fun and cute, and it tells a story of childhood lovers, and they broke up for this crazy insane reason, which once you discover that, you're gonna be like, what the hell is going on here? But she moves back to that beach town for the summer while planning her wedding to her new fiance, who's a doctor. But the problem is that like her ex-boyfriend from her childhood is now next door. This has a lot of feelings coming back for her. It's crazy, it's intense, it's fun. I absolutely loved this book so much. It was such a great read. It's a great summer read. A lot of like the imagery is from like them being in the beach or being on the beach, being by the beach. And so it's like such a good read to read during the summer, or like if you're on like a cute little family road trip. It's great. Alright, next book I'm going to talk about is from one of my favorite authors, Anna Wong. She came out with her new series, Kings of Sin series. Now I have the first book and I have the third book as my favorites on this list. So, King of Wrath, ow, damn. This book tells the story of a billionaire CEO, Dante Russo. He gets caught up in a weird arranged marriage situation because his fiance, his dad, is blackmailing him, and so now he's stuck in a weird arranged marriage with Vivian Lau, which I'm obsessed with her character, and that name is just so like posh, and he absolutely hates it. But over time he starts becoming very attracted to Vivian. He likes Vivian, and he is very caught up in like wanting revenge. And so it puts us on a journey of a very weird situation, because even if he gets retaliation on Vivian's dad, that could really damage his relationship with Vivian Lau. Also, he doesn't want to like her in general. So it's a crazy story. I really like this. I love the spice. I love the fact that Dante Russo has like a cute Italian accent. He's like super mysterious. He's like super like serious. Even though like he's the most like smiley billionaire who's supposed to be like angry all the time, he's like obsessed with her. But anyway, it's a great book. If you have not read King of Wrath, book one of the Kings of Sin series, I definitely recommend. If you want a spicy arranged marriage interracial situation, I loved. It's kind of insane how I'm actually remembering a lot of the synopsis of these books, because usually I don't remember the synopsis. I have book 3 of the Kings of Sin series, which is King of Greed, and this is about a billionaire CEO who is obsessed with fame. Not really fame, but he's obsessed with success. And so even though he's at like his peak, he has his own company, he's the CEO, he's a billionaire, he cannot stop working until one day he comes home and his wife is gone. She's left him, and now he's on the quest of trying to win her back, and it shows us him going out trying to get her back. We get both point of views, which I really like. We see the characters from King of Wrath also in this book because they're all friends, which I really like. It's kind of like a universe overlapping situation. So he's going out trying to get her back, and we see how they both navigate that journey. It's fun, it's spicy, it's cute. I'm obsessed with Anna Wong's writing. Her plot twists always just, they really do it for me. They usually take me there. She does what needs to be done, and I was obsessed with both these books. I did not include King of Pride, which is the second book of the Kings of Sin series, because that didn't do it for me. Like, it was very like tame, it was very mellow, like no one died, no one got beat up. That's a problem for me, because that's what we get from Anna Wong. We get drama, we get spice, we get murder, and I didn't get that in this book. So next book I am going to talk about is The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. She is the author of The Fourth Wing. I know The Fourth Wing is like a huge thing. I haven't read that book yet. I've been reading all her romance books. I think Fourth Wing is kind of like a fantasy situation. I'm not a big fantasy girl, so in order for me to read that, it has to have some kind of like romance component. If it does, let me know below. This one by Rebecca Yarros, this is a contemporary romance. It's a little bit sad. It's about this guy who's in the military. He's best friends with this guy. When he receives a letter when the friend dies, that tells him, oh, I need you to protect my sister, or not protect, but like take care of my sister because she's going through a lot. She's lost like basically all her family members, and so now he has to go to where the sister's living, and the sister's a little bit jaded because her brother just died. Also, she's just going through a lot. He's also keeping this crazy secret from her, and when she finds it out, it's chaos. And the end has a really bad, sad plot twist that no one was expecting, and this also made me cry a lot, so that's why it's on my list. Then another Rebecca Yarros book that I am obsessed with is In the Likely Event. This was actually the first book I read by her. This one is about these two people who are very scared of flying. Actually, one of them has never flown before, and then the other one has a very weird like phobia of flying, and her biggest fear is the plane like getting in a wreck. She discloses this to her seatmate before they even take off. Actually, she tells him the statistic that the plane either crashes in the first 5 minutes of it taking off or the last like 10 minutes of it landing, and as soon as the plane takes off, it crashes into the Missouri River, and now there's like a weird fate thing kind of like keeping them together. So even though they survived the plane crash, they keep bumping into each other even though they're from opposite ends of the world. It's a crazy story. Fast forward years later, she's now a politician and he's in the military, he's in the special forces, and a lot of Rebecca Yarros's books, they have like some kind of like military component because her husband's like in the military, and I guess it's like loosely based on her life, or that's kind of where she gets her inspiration from. So he's in the military, he's in the special forces, and she's a politician, and they're in like this crazy war zone, and they bump into each other again, and that's kind of where the story takes us from. I loved their little romance. It was so fun. I literally got through this book so fast because it was just so good, and so it definitely made my list. I love Rebecca Yarros and the way she writes, and also like her stories are just insane, but like in the best way. You know, they're very like realistically insane, whereas Anna Wong's writing, it's like unrealistically insane, but they're still pretty good. So this also made my list for my best reads of 2023. In no particular order, I have I would say my top 2. I will first do The Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. If you're just getting to reading, this would be one of the books that I would definitely recommend. I am obsessed with Christina Lauren. They're my favorite little duo. I read The Honeymooners by her, and I also read this book, and I love both of them, but this one is just phenomenal. Love in Other Words basically tells the story of two like childhood friends turned lovers, and then one crazy like New Year's Eve, they get into this weird breakup situation, and then they never spoke again until they're adults, and they randomly ran into each other, and that's where they reconnected. Their story was just so good. She was grieving her mom in the beginning of the book when she met her friend, and he really helped her through it in like the best way. He was pretty good at like pushing her out of her comfort zone, and so a lot of their dynamic is just based on him pushing her out of her comfort zone, and so they have like a pretty strong relationship until something weird happened and they broke up, and then they never saw each other again. And then fast forward years later, she's in a new relationship, and he is just doing like his own thing, I believe, but then they run into each other, and now they're reconnected, and they just cannot leave each other alone, and it's a great story. I'm obsessed with it. I love it. This is actually one of the best romance books I've read in 2023, hands down, and so I'm obsessed with Christina Lauren. I want to read all her books, all their books. All right, last book I have on here is one of my favorite books. Actually, this is the only book I've read by Abby E. Jimenez, but I'm probably going to read all her books going forward because this book was so good. It is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. It gives us like a little hospital romance. So this guy, he comes to this hospital, he's starting new, he's a doctor, and immediately, what's her name? Brianna Ortiz. She hates him because she believes he's coming for her spot or coming for her job. They don't start off on the best basis, but then over time he started writing her like these little letters. They kind of build like a rapport, and they really start liking each other even outside of work, and they just have like the best little situation, but also her brother is on dialysis and he needs a kidney replacement. Okay, my brother's phone keeps going off. Sir. Anyway, her brother's on dialysis and he needs a kidney replacement, and who offers up to give him their kidney? This new doctor guy. He needs a fake date for his brother's wedding because his brother's also getting married to his ex-girlfriend. So he asks her to be his fake date, and so we get like a bunch of different tropes in here. We kind of get like enemies to lovers, get fake dating, hospital romance. A lot of this book does have like a little bit of miscommunication, which I hate that trope, but overall like it's such a good read, and I think this is one of my favorite books. My favorite book that I read this past year. So that's all I got. Please let me know what you liked reading, or what's your favorite book of 2023, because I had, let me see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14. I had 14 books that I'm obsessed with, and I would always recommend going forward. 10 out of 10. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys liked it. Please leave a comment below as to what's your favorite read of 2023. Bye.
Ooh, I'ma pull a study to the side. She keep coming at me every day and night. When I left in my life started feeling right.